Considering that it's Halloween time, what happens when you cross Tarn with a pumpkin? You get everybody's favorite Skullboy Transformer, Bludgeon. Today we're taking a look at Transformers Legacy, Evolution, Voyager-class Bludgeon. Obviously, he is just a repaint of Tarn, with a new head and a big old sword. The figure retains the absolutely wonderful and fantastic posability that Tarn had in robot mode. And I've yet to find a figure that is as good at posing as this mold is. I mean, hell, he's the only figure I've gotten in a while that fits in the chair perfectly. Like, I can't think of any other figure off the top of my head that I've gotten recently that fits as well as he does. In terms of coloring, the orange, the green, and the dark red/maroon are just perfect for him. And it really makes this whole mold pop in a way that Tarn just didn't. And the new head sculpt for Bludgeon is phenomenal. I mean, look at that. It's just so good. And if we zoom in super close, I mean, if we get really close and look at his mouth, he's got wires in his mouth, just like the IDW drawing that we've seen of him, or the IDW versions of we've seen him in over the years. Bludgeon's posability is exactly the same as Tarn. Head is on a ball joint, though it's a little less posable than Tarn's. Shoulders have a rocker and a swivel. Then there is the in and out bend for the transformation just above the elbow. Then the elbow swivels. Elbow does bend over 90 degrees, and fists do articulate, and just like Tarn, his hands open and close with nice pointy little digits. Torso articulation is present. Legs can kick forward at 90 and back over 90, and then the figure can kick out at about 80 to 85 degrees. Thigh swivel is present, but then there's also the swivel at the hips, which it gets in the way a little bit. Bend at the knee is over 90 degrees, and then feet do rock back and forth, forward and back. That's mostly for the transformation, and unfortunately the foot doesn't rock inwards enough for my taste. Besides the new sword, figure also comes with the same cannons and cannon setup that Tarn came with, though I've got to admit I like the silver, black, orange a lot better than Tarn's like dark red and very dark blue. I think it just works better. In fact, I like this coloring on this figure a lot more than Tarn. Just because of the brighter colors, it just makes everything pop more, especially the chest. I mean, the chest just looks so much more detailed here. It didn't look bad on Tarn, but you've got the bright orange, then contrasting with the clear orange up here on the top of the chest. Nice purple Decepticon symbol that is not centered. And then you've got the silver in the tummy section with the bright orange translucent plastic coming through. And the contrasted colors just works a lot better than what we got with Tarn. Now, Tarn isn't a bad figure by any stretch of the imagination, but I just like Bludgeon more because of those color contrasts. Yes, he looks like an evil pumpkin, but I'm okay with that. And Bludgeon's sword is real pretty. I mean, look at this thing. It's got saw teeth up at the top, then this nice straight shaft, and it is double-bladed, then the wonderful detailing and molding going on, and then the actual hilt and the guard work well, except the guard is, well, almost non-existent, but that kind of works. It's a nice accessory. The only problem I've run into in robot mode is the little green pieces that form the forearms. If you've got the cannons attached, it has a tendency to just flop open. The original Tarn figure does not have that problem, and I'm just wondering if that has to do with the way the plastic is. Because this plastic that formed, or the green plastic, I should say, all across the figure feels different than the dark purple plastic that is on Tarn. In terms of size, he scales with other Voyager-class figures just fine. Now, obviously, Bludgeon is going to have the exact same transformation as Tarn. That's to be expected. But there is one key difference here that we do need to talk about. So to start off with, come to the backpack and unpeg it from the chest, rotate it back, take the guns and flip them around pointing to the back of the or bottom of the figure, and then turn that whole section around. Now this is what I want to talk about that's the main difference. Tarn's head had very tight clearance, but Bludgeon, on the other hand, is more difficult to deal with because of the crest that's on the top of his helmet. So what I do is I just kind of point it back, and it's supposed to slide easily into the back, but it doesn't. So I kind of have to push it off at an angle to get the I guess the antenna in such a way that I can actually get the head in there and flatten it out and tuck the chin down. Sorry if that was off camera. And then I could come around and pull the chest forward. So get that tucked around. Oh, and yes, the figure has the same problem Taran does, where his chest falls off easily. While the chest is off, we can go ahead and take the shoulders and flip them around, and then push that head in all the way so that it's kind of pointing down off at an angle like that, and come in and replace the chest piece. This is all clear plastic that's painted over. Gotta say, the paint job is phenomenal. But I do worry about the longevity, even though this is pretty thick. But those connectors, those are real tiny, and like they're as thin as my fingernails, so they're gonna break at some point. Now, one mistake I keep making with this mold is that little kind of peg that's sticking off the bottom of the head unit. That is actually supposed to snap into place on the, well, what would be the chin section. I keep forgetting to do that on Tarn, and it keeps messing up the overall vehicle mode, so we'll make sure to do it here. Coming to the bottom of the figure, snap the legs together, and then fold the feet up onto the back of the calves, like that. And then come to the shoulders and rotate the arms down like so. Come down to the forearms and fold those green forearm protectors all the way around to the other side, like that, and do that on both sides. Then point the inside of the elbow towards the legs, and then rotate the arm back along the elbow, like a reverse elbow bend, and then bring the arm in, and there is a peg hole on the top of the forearm that the inside of the forearm, specifically that port right there, will peg into. So that port, except that peg. But another thing I keep forgetting is it won't do it if the legs are all the way down. So first, we have to come down, grab the legs, and then fold them up at the knee, and flip them up like this. Otherwise, things are just going to get in the way. Push the cannons forward, bring the feet down, and then bend them at the back part of the knees. So, come on you. There we go. Unpeg the lower legs, and then fold them up like that. And then we can come in and do what we need to with those arms. Fold that in, and it will peg into place. And you can have the hands pointing really any which way you want. Oops, I have that backwards. Whoopsie doodle. So get that in place and pegged in, and then lift up just a little bit, and this peg off the forearm armor will peg into the bottom of the foot. And before you're done with the arms, take the cannon bit and push it down along the back, and then the feet will come in, flip over the cannon bit part. The toes will peg into place on the top of the tank cannons, and then the back of the feet will peg in to these green forearm bits. And then we can come to the sides of what was the shoulders, open up, flip them down and around, and then close them up underneath. And do that on both sides. And then we can drop the cannons into place. And like a doofus, I was getting that wrong. You don't peg it in at the back of the cannon port right there. There are actually two slots on the shins that you peg the cannon part into. And here we have its Tanky Tank mode. And then you could just peg the sword in wherever you can fit it. Now, as I stated in my Tarn review, the tank mode is fine. It works, but I don't like it. And the reason I don't like the tank mode is just a personal preference. I mean, I just don't care for it. I don't think it looks like the tank mode that Tarn was in the comics. And it doesn't look right to me. I don't know why. It's not bad, but I just don't like it. And again, I mean, it's fine. It is absolutely fine. I just don't care for it. The other thing I don't care for is the fact that the front treads don't lock into place and always come, not undone, but always come uneven with the rear treads. And then you've got the fists sticking out of the back. It's just kind of messy that I'm just not a fan of. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay to not like things. Now, I have wondered if this would work better. Even this doesn't look all that quite right. I don't know what it is. I really don't. I wish I could figure it out, but there's just something about this tank mode that just rubs me the wrong way. Even though I really dislike his alt mode, Bludgeon is a fantastic figure. The posability alone makes it well worth the purchase, and it's just neat. And I'm going to keep this guy in robot mode. I love the coloring. I love the robot mode. Transformation's okay. Not a huge fan of the tank mode, and that's fine. So folks, let me know what you think of Bludgeon down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I have been Baltmatrix, and I will catch you all next time.